We are picking up today where we left off yesterday, and there is a link to yesterday's video down in the description. But we are here today at Emittsburg Antique Mall, and we are looking through mugs in Carol's booth, and they are 50% off. I have told myself a zillion times that I need to steer clear of single mugs, but I can't. It's an addiction. You see here, this mug I really liked. It is a moose mug, and when you drink all the coffee, at the bottom it says, "More, please." I love pottery mugs, but I did walk away from that one. She's got some nice vintage mugs there on the shelf. And her booth is almost always 50% off. So I always do that calculation in my head when I'm looking at her items. You can see there on the table she has a sign saying 50% off. This picture we've found once or twice at the thrift stores. I really love the florals of it. And I'm usually always attracted to that picture. I don't know why. Now, I do usually look through the case, and in the case, she has this Millefiore paperweight. I love the glass. It's kind of a satin finish, and it's Millefiore. How could we say no to that? I also like that gentleman there in the really comfy coat. And these German piggies, I have never seen these piggies in the box with the button on it. There is a huge collector's market for those pigs. I believe they're called fairing pigs. I come across them quite a bit, and I just happen to really like those ones. And I was a little back and forth about those. So you can see there's also a Fenton bear in there, a black cat. I did end up with the Millefiore paperweight. It is missing from that spot. Now the pigs I wasn't that sure about. I passed on them, but inevitably before I left, I did end up grabbing them for $95, half off of $95. This right here is an Henri music box. A lot of the times when you look at these or you find these, they simply have them as Thoren's music box, but more times than not, they are actually Henri. So the seller in this case did have it attributed to Henri. And then I found the Gettysburg Souvenirs. And I don't know what it is, but I've been finding a lot of these lately, it seems. That obviously was not Gettysburg, but Andrew is really into collecting Gettysburg souvenirs, and for some reason I am coming across a lot of them lately. I did just buy him probably a dozen Gettysburg souvenirs, so he doesn't need any more right now, but I know where to go if I ever do need them. I did spot this little bird here, and it is marked Chili on the bottom. It was kind of a cute little redware pottery bird. This black pottery goat was marked on the bottom, made in Umbria. Or maybe that's not what it said. I did like it though. I like the figural aspect of it. I usually browse through this booth because occasionally I do find treasures here. These were new. I don't remember seeing these the last time. They look to be South American figurines. You can see my mom there. She had a cameo for a brief moment. She didn't really want to be on film today, so I was trying to avoid filming her. And there's a cannon. Andrew would have been all over that cannon. He would have thought that was really cool. There's lots of trinkets and little figurines here on this shelf. I do like the snail, and I feel like I've looked at this art glass snail in the past. There's not a terribly high resale value on that, so that's why I passed on it. I don't often come across Doberman figurines, so that was kind of interesting to find a Doberman figurine. At $14, I didn't think there was much of an ability to buy it and flip it for a profit, but it was really cool to find one because usually it's Dalmatians and Collies and Poodles and Spaniels, but not usually Doberman figurines, so that was really neat. We've got some unicorns doing somersaults. I'm not really sure what's happening there. And down here, I did notice some planters, and I really liked this lusterware planter. Unfortunately, it was $15, and I felt like that was right at the point where I couldn't really buy it and make a profit on it. There was a little bit of a discount, but even with that discount, it was not right. It was not right for me, but it was still a good price for someone walking in and buying it. You can see here there is a beautiful little painted dish. It was glass and it had nice enameling on it. It was $18 and there was a discount on this. It was kind of Art Deco and I liked the florals on it. But I walked away. It was hard to do. I did walk away. I did like this bird. It actually had its original Art sticker on there. This right here was a vanity set, and I really did like the contrast of that black or deep amethyst glass with the clear. However, the entire set was $75, and that was just a little too much for me. In this booth, there was this olive glass bottle. It was $180. It was 50% off, but even at $90, Andrew picks up a lot of antique colonial bottles for much less than that, and I felt like I could walk away from that and not feel bad about it. This piece right here was $200. It was 50% off. I believe this entire booth was 50% off. And I may have considered this briefly. I did like the glazing on it, and I liked the details. It was kind of like coral and seashells, and I thought that it was interesting. I did wish that it would have been signed. At $100, I felt like that was pushing it a little bit too much for me to be comfortable. I probably would have been comfortable at even half of that at $50. Now I did notice this little figurine down here. It was a cute little bunny figurine, and with Easter coming, I'm trying to pick up a lot more Easter bunnies and Easter themed items, but I did walk away from that because we just have so much inventory that I don't need little figurines at the moment. Sometimes I'll pick them up, sometimes I won't. It depends on how much I have in stock. Now my mom found this, which was really nice, and she pointed out that was California pottery, which usually is fantastic. Unfortunately, it was missing the Lazy Susan because that's really what it needed. It was $25 firm, and that was a good price for what it was. But if we would have had the Lazy Susan, it would have been perfect. I did like this bird, and I thought the bird was nice. I liked the glazing on it. There were no markings, which was surprising, and it was $15. So I did pass on that as well. You can tell I'm being a little picky in today's video. I don't know why. The marking on the bottom of this, I did not recognize, but I liked the legs on it. It was kind of this robin's egg blue, but then the bottoms had these leaves and the branches, and I thought it was an interesting style. So even though I couldn't quite make out the bottom and the markings on it, I did decide that I was going to buy this because I liked the details of it. There were some vases here, and these were nice. These were kind of in the style of the McCoy vases that have the birds on the inside. This vase in particular in the center here was nice. It had an Art Nouveau style to it. I don't believe it was that old, but I liked the flowers on it. And I believe it was $25. I think there was a discount on this booth if I recall. But I loved those Art Nouveau style florals, and there was no signature or markings on the bottom of it, unfortunately, but the lines were very nice. And so I took it with me. Now this is the teapot that my mom bought. She really liked this teapot. It kind of reminded me a bit of Fitz and Floyd, but I don't think it was. I usually venture into this booth. This is a really fun vintage booth, and I have bought a Viking glass cat out of this booth in the past. And so I usually browse through here to see what other glass they have. This bottle was interesting because it looks to me like it came out of a privy. Andrew has done a lot of privy digging in the past. It's a great place to find antique bottles. I have only privy dug once or twice, but Andrew is a professional. And that to me looks like it was dug out of a privy hole in the ground. Now, this collection of piggies was quite astounding, and I've actually showed this before on other videos. I absolutely love seeing them all together like this. You can see the prices reflect probably about what they're worth or what you can get them for on eBay, but it is just such an amazing collection. This right here, I think, had real teeth, and sure enough, it says horse hair and horse teeth. It is a very odd piece, and I'm all for odd and I'm all for weird, and it sells, but I just wasn't really sold on that piece. Now, this teapot, on the other hand, was as found, and I didn't actually take it out to look at it and see why it was as found, but I walked away from that. Andrew's the expert of teapots, not me. This bird was carved, and so I did pull this across the shelves there to get a closer look at this. It was $8, and I felt like I could probably get $8 to $15 for this, and so there really wasn't a whole lot of room there for me to buy it and flip it for a profit. And it was a souvenir for Jamaica, so there was especially not a whole lot of room for me. We've got some Vantelligent hugging bears there. I showed them in a recent video that I did at Rebel's Roost, and sure enough, there's some hugging bears there. They're usually, they sell for between $12 and $20, and they were probably priced right on point. Now, this booth, every single time I come into this booth, I always come straight to these perfume bottles because I'm absolutely obsessed with them. I love them. They're marked $75 a piece, and I just can't do it because that's what they sell for on eBay. But I love them. I think they're beautiful. They're so aesthetically pleasing, and they are Murano. And so I love them. And every time I look at them, I love them even more. But I have to pass on them because I can't make money on them. But they're there, and they're still there. I did decide to take a closer look at this necklace because it was reminiscent of one that we got recently at the auction that was a lot more colorful. And I did like the shell, but I liked the necklace we got recently a little bit more than that. So I did pass on that. And I also liked this vase. You can see here that it had some strawberries on it, but I did not even bother to pick it up and look at the bottom of it. I couldn't tell if this quilt was $150 or $450, but in either case, it was a little bit too spendy for me to buy and flip for a profit, and so I did leave that. It was a beautiful quilt, though, regardless. Here on the shelf, I spotted this. It was a squirrel, and it was a Blanco squirrel. I've never seen the Blanco squirrel before. You guys know that I do collect the owls. I have a couple Blanco owl bookends, but I have never seen the squirrel before, so that was a little bit interesting. If I was to buy the squirrel, I would probably name it Gary. Down here, I did notice this in the back, and it was a little bit too oxidized for my liking, meaning it had a little bit too much rust. It was adorable, though. It was $15. It was a litho toy, and I do occasionally look at these, although I do not specialize in toys. There is a lot of money to be made in toys. It's not in the least bit my specialty, but if I see one that I think is worth money, I will definitely grab it. We had a couple of Ray Dunn dog bowls there, and they did not appear to be very vintage as far as Ray Dunn goes, and so I did pass on those. This owl plate, I really liked the coloring of this. I come across these a lot, and usually they are just solid white, but this one appeared to have a little bit more color, and I believe it was the color that really attracted me to this. You can see the patent date there on the back. It does date to the early 1900s. And actually now during editing, I do realize there is a little bit of damage there to the edges that I didn't notice when I picked it up. But in any case, I did like this owl plate, and I did put it in my basket, and it was a pretty decent price. So I think I'll make out okay on that. I probably won't make a profit because of the damage, but I did like the owl plate. And then I came across the head vases, and I did pick up this head vase right here. She was in really good condition. I didn't see any damage on her. There were no markings on the bottom though. She was only $20, and I figured that I could likely make money on her even if it wasn't a whole lot. This one right here was also $20. One of the first things I look at when I'm looking at head vases is their eyelashes. I'm not very knowledgeable about head vases, but I do know that their eyelashes are probably one of the first things that are damaged because they usually have chips and cracks. So the fact that her eyelashes were in good condition, I did decide that I would take this one. And unfortunately, even though I liked this one, you can see that there is damage there to the flower on her blouse. She has a crack there. And so I did end up passing on her for $20. But this one, I didn't see any damage on her. There was a little bit of crazing, which is consistent with age, but she was in good condition. Now this one right here, I did like her, and she seemed to be well aged, but she was $38, and so I did pass on that one for $38. This one also was $35, and I just couldn't rationalize $35 and still make a profit. Now there was a whole shelf of art glass figurines. Now my mom actually noticed these and drew my attention to these. You saw her ghost hand there. She doesn't like to be in video, but she was present. This was the one that really caught my eye. And the other ones I did turn over and look at the bottom of them. This one was only $8, but I didn't like that the Bullicante was so mismatched. They were kind of odd sizes. They weren't uniform. This one right here, you could see there is a sticker on the bottom, and there is the remnants of an oval sticker, which looked to have said made in Japan or China, possibly. I don't know. I like this one as well with the legs, but it just seemed modern to me, and it didn't seem to have a very high quality like Murano does. And so I passed on that. This is the last one I picked up, and the reason I picked this up is because I thought, well, maybe this could be Fitz and Floyd. Fitz and Floyd isn't the Murano quality, but it still does have resale value. You can see I am scanning the shelves here, and I find this vase. I love the green enamel vase. It is $15.50. It's got some strawberries on it and some white florals. And there isn't a bunch of chipping there on the edge. You can see I feel it with my fingers to see if there's any flea bites. Now, flea bites are an industry term for little chips that are detectable by touch and not necessarily by sight. Now I do set it back. You can see I set it back because I just can't pray that for it and still expect to make a profit. This plate does catch my attention because it looks to be Karak, but there are no markings on the bottom. Granted, Karak is usually marked with a sticker, and it's possible the sticker was gone, but I didn't have my phone handy and I wasn't doing research right then and there, so I did end up walking away from that. We've got some precious moments. I usually don't spend a whole lot of time here in the booths at the front. I've just, from experience, not had a whole lot of luck finding things here in the front booths that I can buy and flip for a profit. You can see this piece is $45, which is a good market value for this, but it's not something I can buy and sell for a profit. We've got this swan right by the checkout. This was the last thing I found, and I didn't even notice it when we walked in, and my mom said, "Oh, that's the first thing I saw." So, of course, my mom noticed it. I did not. I thought it was really nice, but it's very large and not something that I would want to ship. So, there you go. All right, well, our total spend was $370. I feel like we got some really good quality items today. I did end up paying for my mom's stuff, so her stuff was included in there. But I'm pretty excited with what we got. I did end up going back for the pigs. I went back for them. I feel like they're going to do pretty well. After having looked up comps, I didn't see any of those listed, and I think they're going to do okay. So we're going to get out of here. We're going to head to Goodwill, and I'll see you there tomorrow. Bye.